So if you have someone in your life that tends to be snarky or tends to give unsolicited advice or come across as condescending, here's some ways that you could handle that. For those who don't know, hi, I'm Day. I'm a social skills coach, and I give advice on how to navigate social situations and avoid social awkwardness. So one way that you could handle this, it's very quick and very easy. You could just give them a confused look and then act as if they weren't talking. A lot of people, they'll get the hint that what they said was not welcome, but in the case that they don't, and you say this person's socially awkward, so it's a chance that they might not, you can give the confused look, and you could say, I don't get the joke. Like if they're making a little jokey joke that we know that's kind of really a jab, yeah, tell them you don't get it. And if they keep going, ask them, really, I don't get it. Explain. And the idea is by having someone explain the joke, they'll have to hear themselves describe why the joke was rude, essentially, and describe what they're making fun of you for. Now, the key, though, to pulling this off is you have to look bored. You have to look like you were just not here for it. That's the whole vibe that you have to give off. It'll show them that what they're doing is not going unnoticed and that, again, you're not here for it. Now, a more direct approach than that is if they say something snarky, they say some little jab, you can say, is there something you want to talk about? With a confused expression, like I said before. There's a decent chance they'll be like, no, I'm good. What do you mean? And that's a perfect segue into a conversation about what they're doing. And you can say, because honestly, what you just said came across as barbed or came across as passive aggressive, condescending, whatever. So if there's something wrong or if you have an issue, let's talk about it. This will force them to either speak up directly about what's bothering them if they are being passive aggressive, or it'll clue them in to the fact that what they said was rude and wasn't received well. But even if they don't own what they're doing, the point is you have done your part and you called them out and you tried to discuss it like an adult. Now, an approach that's slightly more aggressive than that, but will get the point across, is they make a disrespectful joke, put your hand up and be like, chill out or calm down. Again, your attitude needs to be not necessarily aggressive per se, but disinterested, like, nope, we're not doing this. No. Sometimes when somebody is saying something snarky or disrespectful, the best thing to do, instead of going head to head for them, is just shut them down. Shut that conversation down, because it's not a conversation worth having. Don't entertain that. An even more direct approach than that is find a time to speak to them. Sit them down and say, hey, there are times where you make little jokes and they come across as very condescending or barbed or whatever. Example, at Aunt Becky's party, you said this. And at Christmas, you said that. Stuff like that. You come with examples so that it'll be harder for them to refute what you're saying. Then, either way, no matter what they'll say, everything will be out in the open and you will be able to have a direct conversation and lay down direct boundaries like, hey, please do not make jabs towards me. Please don't speak to me like that. Sometimes a person needs to hear directly what they're doing and how they're affecting you, because sometimes people can't read social cues and they can't understand hints from changes in demeanor or body language or whatever. Now, if things don't change, another alternative, and this is the most aggressive approach, would be give them a taste of their own medicine and make a joke back. And if they get offended or if they play the victim, then is the perfect segue into a direct confrontation where you confront them about it and you say, well, it's interesting, you do this to me and you do this a lot, so clearly you don't like it. Why do you speak to me like that? Now, that's how you deal with the jabs. Here's how you deal with the unsolicited advice. So again, I'm gonna go from mild and get a little more aggressive each time. So a mild approach to, if they start giving you unsolicited advice and you don't want it, you could just say, I think I got this. Just be very relaxed, nonchalant, no need for hostility or attitude or anything like that. But it's direct, but it's still being kind. If they still don't get that hint and they still insist that you need to take their advice, you need to do this, and that's when you can be a little bit more firmer. The key is to change your tone here, and you're going to be like, I said I'm good. I don't need advice. I'm good. Again, change in tone. You're not getting up in anyone's face or yelling, but you're being even more direct. If they still keep going, or they don't get the hint after you do that and then they do it again, it's ongoing, then you can point out to them, you do this a lot where you offer unsolicited advice. And to be honest with you, when you do it, it comes across as condescending. I feel belittled, and it makes me feel uncomfortable talking to you about things. Again, like I said with the snark, sometimes people have to hear directly how they're affecting people because they're not able to see themselves and how they come across. Or if you want to do a bit of a softer approach than a direct confrontation, you can say to them, when they start to give you unsolicited advice, right now, I just really want to vent. That's really what I'm looking for right now. But if I do need advice, I'll come to you. Thank you for trying to help, though. Again, very direct, but softer tone, but it's still very clear. And that's the key. Now, of course, you'll do that assuming that the person actually does have genuine intent, and you can sense that, and assuming that you would come to them for advice. But if all these techniques fail and this person just will not stop, then gray rock. You can be cordial, you can be polite, but no joking, no laughs, and no in-depth conversations, because at the end of the day, you do not have to give your energy to someone who's not being nice to you.